On this one, I want to talk about the absolute insanity that is taking over it's the GPU market, but it's the whole PC, the whole custom PC market at this point. And what's going on here is an insane case of FOMO, fear of missing out. And you know this because as soon as they released the new GPUs, people went nuts. And when they couldn't get 5080s, they bought 4080s. When they couldn't get 4090s, they bought 5090s. There was as soon as these 50 series GPUs came out, everybody suddenly had to have a faster video card. It was insane. It's still insane. People are now paying more for video cards used that are 2 years old, 3 years old even, than they were new back then. It's insanity. And so I wanted to talk about it a little bit. And one of the things I have here. So the GPU is in a computer right now, but I have it. This is my 1080 Ti. And I also have, and this one, the GPU actually is in the box. This is an RTX, the 3080 Ti in the box that came in the box is in a computer down there. And in this box right now actually is an EVGA 3080 FTW 310 gig that I'm at the moment not using. It came out of my mini ITX build, which currently has an AMD 6800 XT in it. But the interesting thing about these two GPUs is that these two GPUs were both among the hottest things on the market at one point. And people were losing their minds for these GPUs. In 2017, when this was the thing, shortly after this came out, I think it may have even been weeks. Weeks at the least, and maybe a month or two. Maybe within a month or two of coming out, the first crypto craze hit. And these things just skyrocketed. From 2017 to, I don't know, for the rest of the time that this was the current thing, and then deep into 20 series, these were unobtainium. These things went for like twice what they were worth. I think this specific unit was worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,500 at some point. Obviously, that's not what I paid for it. I didn't pay ridiculous scalper prices. The same, even worse with these. With these, man, people were paying. I think the regular 3080. I think I was seeing people pay upwards of $2,000 for that GPU. I mean, hell, at least my 4090 is actually fast enough to justify that. And I just want to talk about the fact that it's just not necessary. You don't have to lose your mind like that. So the interesting thing about these two GPUs is that this 1080 Ti could max out pretty much any game released pretty darn close to up till Cyberpunk. I mean, obviously there was a few things it couldn't max, but there was not a single game out that it could not provide a playable experience on. And the interesting thing about that is that's still the case. Damn it. That's still the case. There's not a single game out there that a 1080 Ti cannot provide a playable experience at 1440p, for God's sakes. I mean, hell, you don't even have to drop down to 1080. Most games will run at like medium settings or better at 1440p on this card. The only game I can think of off the top of my head that's going to be a kind of a disaster on a 1080 Ti is going to be Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Everything else is going to run pretty darn well. I mean, I've been showing cards quite a bit older than that are running games pretty dang well. The 3080, there's not a single game out there that the 3080 can't run. Even like Star Wars Jedi Survivor, stuff like that. And people, from 2017 to 2019, you had to have this, right? 2020 comes along, 30 series come out, people lose their minds. You have to have this. You just have to have it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you don't buy new gear, okay? I'm not that guy. Clearly, you can tell I buy new gear, okay? I'm not going to be that asshole that's surrounded by nice new gear and says don't buy new gear. But don't fall into this FOMO crap, okay? Do what I do. Like, this 1080 Ti, I had this. I skipped 20 series like many people did. I got this 1080 Ti, and, I had this card from 2017 till, like, middle of 2020, whenever it was the 3080 came out. I got lucky. I got 3080 early on, but I had this card for 3 years. And, but as I was saying, the interesting thing with that is these video cards, they still game really well. So, if you can't get that 40 series card you want, look at your local market. Maybe you find a 1080 Ti for $75. I've done it, okay? I've done it. I've gotten these kind of cards for that cheap. Maybe you find a 3080 for $300. I've gotten 3080s for as little as $275 over the past several years. Now, they seem to have gone up a little bit in price, but from what I can tell, there are still pretty solid deals available for 3080s, like $350 to $400. And that card will hold you over. This card, even in fact, I would recommend the 10 gig, and the reason for that is that it's lost value a lot faster than the 12 gig. So your comparative performance per dollar is probably going to be better on the 10 gig because you're more likely to find a good, crazy good deal. But, you pair this with, you don't want to pair it with like an old 8700K. Okay, if you got an 8700K, I'm going to say stick with your 1080 or your 1080 Ti, and if you're going to keep it. But if you've got a 10900K, a 12600K, 12700K, something like that, absolutely. Or even if you don't even have a system now and you're looking at the situation and you're saying, hey, how am I going to get a system? How am I going to build a system? I can't build a system. Maybe I'll just go buy a console. If you really, and that's an option too, if you want to go that route. I'm not a console guy, but I'm not going to discount that as an option. It's an option. But if you're really into the PC gaming, you really want to have some fun, go buy yourself, watch for a deal, buy a 3080 for like $350, $375. Those deals are obtainable. I've looked. You might not get as nice of one as like one of my FTW3 or like this Gaming X Trio Ti. You might not get as you might be stuck with like an HP OEM or a Dell OEM or maybe an MSI Ventus. You name it. But it's effectively the same card. It's going to give you the same performance. You pair that with what's a 12600K today? 125, 150. You pair that with a $100 motherboard, $250, $360, maybe a few. You're at a game that'll run. You're at a system that'll run all but the highest levels of gaming. 90% of the way there to the highest level of gaming, depending on the deals you find for $700, $800, $900. I feel really bad for everyone that's losing their minds over this because it's not necessary. There's so much good hardware out there that people are just thumbing their noses at because they think they have to have a 5080, they have to have a 4080, they have to have a 4090. And I'm here to tell you, and I have said this before, I don't want to hear the stupid, dumbass comments about how, well, if you don't need your 4090, I'll take it. Those are, that's a whole different thing. But if I didn't have the money for my 4090, if I hadn't gotten the money for one of these, if it was 2025 and I still had this, I'd still be having the time of my life, okay? I really would. I can really say that. If I really didn't have the money and I was still stuck on a 1080 Ti, I think the only game out today that you can't play is Indiana Jones, genuinely. Now, if suddenly it gets to the point where you can't play any of the new games, okay, then you just spend the $375, get a 3080. And these aren't, dang it, these aren't even, and we're not talking a bottom of the barrel experience here. I'm not recommending a 1080 Ti so that you can run slightly sub-low settings, like you tick everything down low, and then there's a couple of settings lower, you turn that down, you crank your resolution down to 720. I'm not talking about that. These GPUs provide good, playable, fun experiences. I call it the game as it was intended to be seen. You're not seeing games run, even on the 1080 Ti, again, aside from Indiana Jones, you're not seeing games that have to be turned down to a level where it visually compromises the game. If either of these two cards can run a game, it can run them well. So I never seem to get a lot of views on these videos, and it's really unfortunate because these are the videos where I feel like I'm imparting what wisdom I have. But, oh man, just have fun with the hardware. You don't, if you, and as I said, if I'm not going to sit here and say don't buy a 50, if you get a chance at a 5080 and you've got the money, buy the damn card and be happy with it. I'm not saying don't buy the GPU. This isn't a save your money, don't waste your money. This is a don't fall victim to the FOMO. Be patient. You'll get what you want eventually, and even if you don't get exactly what you want, if you watch and you're strategic about it and you know what you're looking for and you know how to buy, you're going to find something that's going to be able to make you happy. So anyway, again, I hope you guys find this as maybe a little bit of fresh air as to the situation that's going on. And thanks for I almost said thanks for buying the video. Thanks for watching the video.